episode of Lie, Cheat, and Steal, the podcast about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. I'm your host, Pat Royce, and to let you guys know, we are a bi-monthly podcast. So we're dropping 2 episodes every month. You can listen to those, and you also follow us on social media. We are on all the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast. Check us out there. If you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe, hit all the buttons, rate us, review us, leave a glorious review. But if you're loving what you hear, you can also get 2 more episodes every month at our Patreon. That's patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. You get 2 more episodes every month. They're ad-free. You're getting access to our Discord server where there's a whole bunch of other like-minded individuals talking about scams and all the shit that goes along with them. That's a fun place to be. You're going to want to check that out. You also get access to video episodes through that as well of all the other things that we release. So that being said, I am here in the Comedy Frequency studio with my co-host, Kath Barbadoro. How you doing?
Hi, Pat. I'm good. I feel like that intro was extra sales pitchy because of your suit jacket.
Yeah, I look like I'm pitching a fat app or something. I was thinking of roasts when I was looking at myself in the monitor, and I thought of Rob Low Blood Sugar.
Pretty good.
Good. I figured
it's a good blazer. I feel like it fits well. Looks nice.
It does. I like it.
Roast you for it.
Yeah, I now have an embarrassment of blazers.
Really?
I came into possession of a few. I like them. So
came into possession.
No, I had a homie that's like roughly my size, and he was like, "Bro, I'm getting rid of these suit jackets. You want them?" I was like, "Hell yeah, dude!"
Nice.
Yeah, and they're perfect. Shout out to Dan, the sound man. So, it's gonna be a very sales pitchy episode. We're getting into the manosphere. I figured I would show up dressed like Alex Jones.
Yeah, there we go. Speaking of, I know we're going to talk about things that the manosphere is selling men. I just remembered this the other day. I obviously fuck Alex Jones. He's like a absolute, after the Sandy Hook shit, like he's a monster. It is really funny to me still that he's sold a coffee called Wake Up America.
Yeah,
that's clever. I have to give it to him on that one.
Yeah.
That's like really funny.
It's on the nose, but not too much. It's just like, it's good.
No, it's like he's in on it.
Yeah,
He knows it's a little silly, but he's also like, no, Wake Up America. They're turning the frogs gay.
Yeah. That was always the wildest one. And like that one turned out to have like a grain of truth. Not that it turned the frogs gay, but like frogs' genders were switching in something
like that. Yeah. There is. There is some seed. There used to be. I feel like now he's just like totally.
Well, don't frogs naturally change genders anyways? That's what the catalyst for the whole plot of Jurassic Park is that they were splicing them with reptile DNA from frogs, and then they were like, no, they're all females, they can't get pregnant, and then life finds a way, and but it was because they were using frog DNA, and I guess it goes more into it in the book. That's what facilitated the gender swap.
Who wrote that book?
Michael Crichton.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't want to say it and be embarrassed. Yeah. But did you know Michael Crichton was 6'5"?
I did know that.
Crazy.
Yeah, Michael Crichton's one of my I don't say one of my favorite authors, but I really liked some of his books. I didn't read Jurassic Park. I read The 13th Warrior when I was a kid. I liked that. But I read a book by him called Travels, where it's autobiographical. And it is one of my favorite books that I've ever read, simply because his writing style was just really cool. It's just like very like real, like here, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing that. And it was like these stories from his past. He was in medical school for 4 years. And he had 4 traumatic events, not really traumatic events, but things that just like soured him on the medical industry. And then he had started getting his stories published, and he left. And it's a really good book, Travels by Michael Crichton.
Check it out. Also, I need to correct myself. 6'5" is notable, but not notable enough to talk about on a podcast. He was not 6'5". He was 6'9".
Holy shit!
Monstrous.
Yeah, that's wild. I knew he was big. I knew he was tall. Yeah, that's wild. I wonder if he played basketball. That's what everybody wanted to ask. Yeah.
You gotta be. If you're 6'9" and you're like, the thing I make money on is my mind. Like you're either really smart and good and talented, or you're really bad at basketball. Yeah, those are the 2 options.
Oh man, how have you been, Kath?
I've been all right. I was on vacation last week, and it was really fun until I got home. And I got a text from my mom that my dad, who I had been with all for like 5 days, had COVID for most of that time
Woof.
and kept telling us it was a cold. So far I've avoided it, but I feel like I'm waiting for the hammer to drop. I'm waiting to
Yeah.
get symptoms like it's a zombie movie, you know,
Yeah.
where you're just like, I got bit and I gotta see. But yeah, you know, I'm doing good. Had a nice trip other than that. How are you?
I'm good. Super Bowl was fun. That was a really fun time.
Did you win any money?
I did not. I did put some money down in the squares. A guy from my job site, because we were selling the $20 squares, he bought two. And then, like, when they put the things out there, I was like, you know what? I really need to take a picture of this and send it to him now to remove the temptation of, if he wins, being like, oh, hey, your shit didn't hit, dog, and just keeping the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I was like, dope. So I sent him the picture, and then, like, he was so close to winning the final quarter, the $800 quarter on the $20 board, but it was supposed to be 4-zip because it was 40-20, and then went and did that 2-point conversion, got it 22. So it's like, come on, Mahomes, just lose. All right, like, people got money on the line here.
Right. Yeah.
But
it was a solid.
It was fun. Hung out with all the boys, and we just drank and watched watched Kendrick call Drake a pedophile on the world's largest stage. That was pretty tight.
That's the only part I saw.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's the only part you really needed to see. Yeah, it was when he, like, the look in the camera, he goes, hey, Drake. It was just so mischievous. It was like, oh, this dude won a million times.
Yeah, it's very, like, you do not want that guy mad at you. That is
not at all. Yeah.
That famous, like, tweet where it's like, Kendrick is the kind of guy that you look and he's across the street and then a bus goes by and he's gone. Yeah. Very true. Very much the energy of that man.
Well, you know what, Kat? Speaking of the energy of men, so we're continuing our masculinity industrial complex today, and I wanted to talk about. So last time we talked about trucks and the size of trucks and how they were using, masculine coded advertising to sell these huge trucks. All the reason they're doing it was to sidestep environmental laws. So that was what we covered in the last one. Got a lot of great feedback on that. People liked it. So that was good news.
Thank you, everyone.
So moving forward in this one, I want to talk today about there's a lot of types of men you can be out there. That's what's getting sold to people. And I want to do is we're calling it the commodified male. Just a rundown of some public notable figures that are selling you a version of their own masculinity that you can buy into. And I figured this was something I wanted to get into the manosphere stuff and get into the podcast guys, but that doesn't really encapsulate it all. It's like there's more out there than that.
It is vast. I do also want to give a quick shout out if you're interested in a more in-depth podcast dive into all the different types of guys there are. You should check out Brian Quimby's podcast, Guys, where every episode is about a type of guy.
Oh, that sounds very fun.
It's great. I was on one about psychic guys, about, like, guys who are really into psychics. He just released one about fart guys, who are really into talking about themselves farting, and then also guys who are, like, sexually into other people farting.
Oh, wow.
He runs the gamut.
Yeah. We were talking about farting before we started recording today, me and Josh, and just a prolific, poorly timed farter we have in our life. But but I think farts are hilarious. I mean, as far as like the sexual side of it, hey, do you? But I don't know, man. That is
a little weird.
Yeah, it seems like no quicker way to shut the switch down.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's. I feel like it's one of those things where it's not a gray area. It's
it's a brown
this really
area.
Puts on the brakes if it's not your thing. It's not like, no, I guess I'll let it slide. It's like, hold on.
Yeah. Have you seen the fart guy on YouTube that walks around like Washington Square Park in New York, and he has like a really like high-end fart machine and does some like really real sounding ones, and he'll just do like a pirouette in front of people and do like a snap and then hit the fart, and
That's pretty good.
It's the most joyous thing. It spreads. It's like they have like a bloopers reel. People are coming up to like, dude, you're the fart guy. We love your shit, dude. Yeah, beautiful. Shout out to that guy. So yeah, speaking of types of guys, so you got to figure out what kind of man you are, or someone will figure it out for you. I don't know if anybody else has said that before, but I thought about it. And so if that's somebody else's, I apologize. But as we covered in our Big Ass Truck episode, corporations are selling men on the idea of masculinity, and oftentimes that means more than just big ass trucks and automatic weapons. It's a mindset, an ideal that they can sell to you.
A grind set, if you will.
A grind set, if you will. It's like, I know what the ideal man looks like, and he looks like me, or my friend, or my client, or the thing that I'm selling, or whatever. So In the ongoing series of the Masculinity Industrial Complex today, I want to cover some men out there selling themselves, but not like on OnlyFans because many of them find that degrading. So the first one I want to give a shout out to this guy. We've mentioned him in passing in other episodes, and I just think he I guess he kind of sucks, but he kind of rules. Is the guy who teaches men how to sit and stand in chairs?
Have you ever wondered what it looks like from the side when you take a seat at the dinner table? Most of
like that.
Yes. Oh yeah. This guy rocks. You could explain a little more about this dude. He has come up in conversation before.
Yeah. He goes on.
Go ahead.
Oh, he goes on Instagram by Planet Mike. Yeah, Planet Mike Skripchik, the guy who teaches men how to sit and stand. So you may already be familiar with this guy. Maybe you've been scrolling Instagram Reels or TikTok and you've come across this tall drink of water by the name of Mike Skripchik, a.k.a. Planet Mike, a.k.a. the man who teaches men how to sit in chairs. Like I said, we may have mentioned him on the podcast before, but he has managed to lay into a very never-endingly lucrative market of men's insecurities. And so, like, man, you may have thought this before, and ladies, you might have looked at your man and been like, damn, this dude is sitting like an absolute cuck. Just the way he just drops into the chair like an idiot. Or maybe you've entered a business meeting holding your file folder like some kind of dandy, and you just got it all up in the air. No, that's not how you do it. All right, so I'll throw up a video on the thing of this guy. But basically, he's got an idea of how you should do everything. It's like, dude, if you're gonna go to a chair, you make eye contact with the person. Don't even look at the chair. Grab it out, hover over it, drop down slowly, rest in, turn, pivot. Boom, you're locked in. And like,
the thing I love about this guy is like, it really lays bare how much of all of this is a performance. Like how all of this stuff is like so arbitrary and silly. And like, I know that like everybody makes fun of this guy because it is such a silly, like it's such a silly premise of like, I'm gonna teach you how to sit and get out of chairs like a man. Like, but there is like he is drawing on something. Like he didn't make this up. And it's like the fact that these roles are so confining that there is even a specific way you are supposed to sit down and stand up from a chair is so funny. And I will like, I'm not going to blame women for any of this. Women are not at fault. All of this stuff is men talking to other men. And this is like a perfect example. All the stuff we're going to talk about is like how patriarchy harms men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this is what it is. I don't blame women for it. However, I will say that all of this stuff about like, oh, it gave me the ick when he like sat in a chair wrong. Or whatever.
Yeah.
You're causing this. When you say stuff like that, you're putting money in this man's pocket. And so like, if you say shit like that, you don't get to make fun of this because you are fueling the market. So shut the fuck up. That's my little rant about that.
No, I think that's well
Fucking
put.
Ick.
Yeah. Well, because like there's like as I've like gone through like various fitness journeys in my life, there's a time when you start like when I start like working out, I'm a big dude. When I start working my core out and working my abs out, I'm at a point like that right now where you start to feel yourself sitting, I don't say it out loud, it sounds stupid. You're starting to feel yourself sitting down in a chair a little more like, usually if you're fat, you hover over the seat, you get low, and then you just disengage and you just fucking flop down into it.
Right.
Like,
the last couple inches are sort of just
you gotta cover with a noise like, hey, what's up guys, how we doing? Like you gotta make it a big production. It's a thing. Or getting out of a car. And I'm a guy who like, my whole life I've done things like I've always been a big dude, but I try to like hang. So I remember like as a kid being like I'm crawling out of the back seat of my friend's like 2-door car and everybody's looking. And so I would just get out.
That's always a high pressure situation.
Yeah, I'd have the leg down like with stability so I can just get out in one movement and I get out like a lifetime of keeping that up. Like I know what's going on with this guy. But like when you reach a certain point fitness wise where you're sitting down and you're like, that was the most controlled sit I think I've ever pulled off. That was,
I have the core strength now. I can get all the way down.
Yeah. I literally told a dude at work today, I have a foreman who's a little bigger than me. And we were doing these calf stretches in the morning. And I was like rolling from one heel to the other. And this dude Juan was like, what the fuck, Pat? You can just do that? And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, yeah, you got the core strength. Why? And I was like, we're on it, Juan. It kind of negates being fat. So it's like a little bit. It plays against its weaknesses. So
totally.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just want to get that out the way. Shout out to Mike Skripchik, Planet Mike. If you think you're doing something like an idiot, check it out. You might be, and he'll let you know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, our next guy, you may have also come across these guys in your scrolls. It's a podcast video scene. It's a man somewhere in his mid to late 30s, scrawny, weak chin, gaunt features, pencil neck, dog shit haircut, and he's seated at a table. He's usually flanked by one of his boys, and across from him sits a collection of women who have the average age of not old enough to drink. And he asks one of these girls to defend their entire gender for any number of perceived slights, from why do you have a job, or why do you have sex, or what are you doing making money, like anything that women are doing wrong in his eyes. He calls these like 19-year-old girls, which is everything.
He can ask them about anything because he thinks women are doing everything wrong.
They're doing everything wrong. Yeah.
At least these particular women that are hand selected to be yelled at by these guys.
And 90% of the time, at least all the clips I've seen, is it's all about OnlyFans. OnlyFans and body counts. That's like the huge thing. And this is very funny to me about these guys. So like the end game of this guy, it's always clear. It's like, you girls are idiots. All these girls are dumb. And fellas out there, every horrible impulse or thought that you have is correct, actually. You're right about that. And these dudes, like, I think it's crazy when they give all these girls shit about having OnlyFans, and it's like, okay, dude, if you don't want to date a girl with an OnlyFans, do you know how many women don't have OnlyFans?
Yeah, like
most of them don't have OnlyFans. I know, because I check every time I meet a girl. I'm out there making sure she doesn't have an OnlyFans. No, but it's like, dude, the thing is, you want to date the girl that has the OnlyFans. That's the girl you want to date, and you're like, but shit, she has this thing or whatever that I'm not cool with. And it's like, dude, then that's not the girl for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you're trying to live in a world that is of your own making, and it's just it's very pathetic to me.
I have a question. I like the thing that's so there's a lot that's weird to me about those. I get them too. First of all, I don't know if they even really exist as podcasts, even though that they sort of purport to be. I feel like
where do you find the audio version of whatever?
Yeah, because it's like you have to, like, the whole point of it, as far as I can tell, is that the reason the women go on here is because it gets them OnlyFans subscribers. And it's from people who want to, like, who view their sexual attraction as like a punishment for women. So they're like, I hate this woman so much, I'm going to go jerk off to her. Because like, I that's how I get hard, is because I'm like angry.
Yeah.
But one of the things about it that's been so weird to me, and I feel like this is like a thing that I've noticed in young people, at least in this media sphere, the body count thing. I have never been asked that.
Yeah.
I've with people I've been dating or whatever, like sort of as like a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Ask them, but it's never like, how many? Like, tell me how many. Like, I don't know. I just, that, like, the idea that is something that everyone needs to like, no, like that is an information point that determines whether you want to be in a relationship with someone is so foreign to me. Like, even living in like a sexist society. I mean, obviously I know it's like, people slut shame and stuff, but the idea of like, dude, no, she like 10 people, gross. Like, what are you talking about? It's so, I don't know. Does that, like, have you encountered that?
I certainly have. Well, I've heard dudes. I've for sure have heard dudes talk about it. It was less common, I think, when I was younger. I think it's more dudes that are younger than me. And like, I did not grow up around like a bunch of like saints when it came to like just being open-minded about shit. There would always be the whole thing of like, like you would have dudes be like, double wrap it. That was the thing they would always say, like, make sure you wear 2 condoms. Like, it's like, that's the worst advice I've ever had. It was ever given me. But like, you'd have that, but like, it was always kind of like, make sure you double wrap it. It wasn't like don't have sex with her. Like,
obviously, like, people are not nice to women they perceive as sluts. Like that goes back a long way. But the idea of like, I need to know the number, and like the term body count, like, that's so strange to me. I always think of Natalie Cox, who used to do comedy in Austin, had a good joke about that, where she got asked that by a partner, and she was like, I don't know. And he was like, ballpark it. And she was like, less than a ballpark?
That's very good. Yeah, I've had situations.
It's such a thing in this podcast world.
I've had situations where girls I was talking to, I know people they've hooked up with, and I've been like, there's no way I'm hopping on the same list as this fucking guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So like that has nothing to do with number. That is quality of dudes. And like, dude, like, you know, and I weighed the options. Like, what are we dealing with here with her versus the crustiest punk in the world? Like, I'm like, no, you know what? Don't want to be on the same list as that guy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because it's just like, hey, I know you fuck this dude. And honestly, like, that was one of those things where it's like I wouldn't date that girl. We still hang out, so like I'm not gonna.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's more like I don't want to get involved with this person because I'm a little concerned for them.
Yeah.
Decision making.
Because I know if I would have like started dating this girl and I would have bumped into that dude, he'd be like, "Yo, what's up, man? Oh, cool, fuck you. Oh, you guys are dating." I would have been like, and he's like such an idiot that he would have thought it was cool, and I'd have been like, "Fuck, he likes this somehow." Like, but that was just very much a me thing. So I don't know. Yeah, but like
I do like that is like an interesting thing because I feel like I've known guys, I'll speak very abstractly here. I have known people that a lot of women have hooked up with and all the women knew and everyone thought it was funny. No one thought it was like weird or like there was no like competition or anything. It was just like it's really funny. That guy is such a slut.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, these podcasts are evil.
Yeah, these guys are the worst. And this guy, so the host of the Dating Talk podcast on the Whatever Podcast Network. I thought it was called the Whatever Podcast, apparently it's called Dating Talk, and they're not talking about dating. That is
no. They're talking about how sex work is evil. Mostly, I think.
His name is Brian Atlas, and he started on YouTube as one of those prank guys that would like have his friends stand around a corner with a donkey, and two ladies would walk by, and he'd go, "Hey, can I grab your ass?" And the ladies would be like, "What?" And he'd walk around them to pet the donkey. And like
it's not even a prank.
It's not even a prank. Like a lot of people we cover, if he would have stopped there, that'd be fine. Like,
sure.
I hate prank guys on YouTube, but that seems like it's not the least worst guy. You're still walking up going, "Yo, can I grab your ass?" But like, I love when the prank guys get beat up, when they like go to a hood, like, "Hey, you want beef?" And they're gonna pull a steak out of their pocket, and some guy just fucking decks them in the jaw. That is, man, if I'm ever in a coma, play that, and I'll like my finger will start twitching.
That is what you're hoping for when you watch those.
Yeah, like, the guy's gonna his ass beat. Yeah. My favorite one is
sort of like an opposite. What would you do?
Yeah.
Where it's like they're trying to catch people doing good deeds. It's the opposite of that. You want that guy to get fucking punched in the face.
You want to get hit. Yeah, I always think it's funny the ones where they hit the guy and he goes, "It's a prank," and the guy goes, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And then they stop hitting them and then they're cool with them. I'm always like, that is an unhinged person.
That's weird. Yeah.
So he was that guy, but he did. Instead, he actually lifted a show format from another podcast that we're going to touch on for a bit called the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Yes, now, that's the other one of these I've heard of.
Yeah, these guys' shittiness is like weaponized. It's like they all suck. But it's kind of funny because it's kind of like how Friends stole their whole vibe from Living Single. Like Brian copied the swag of two equally toxic and shitty black dudes named Myron Gaines and Walter Weeks. And it was their podcast. And this has caused a rift. There is a war in the manosphere.
There's a feud.
Yeah. Because it's like, you're not hating women the right way. And it's like, dude, I assure you, I'm hating them the exact right way. And it's like, this is just like this is like Protestants and Lutherans. It's just just like a slight
There's been
tweak.
A schism. Yeah. in their like sexism theology, there's different interpretations, and it's causing a schism.
He's not the 95 Theses are just like, these bitches ain't shit. You know, so. But at the end of the day, it's funny because they're the exact same show. They're red pill incel flagship shows. That's how every dude every one of their worst beliefs about women is absolutely correct. So this is the kind of advice they extol. I was going through, I was like, oh, it's a good example. And it's like, I really don't want to share anything that these guys do because it all sucks. But like, this is the kind of shit that they're spreading. And tell me, like, I don't like guy listeners, you have a friend who says shit like this, and it says. This was in the 2020 video. Gaines stated, when a girl tells you, "Hey, let's rain check or reschedule," you should simply respond, "Hey, that's cool, but I'm really not a fan of flaky girls." Because according to him, if you take her on a date after she did some shit like that, she's going to think it's okay. Don't reinforce bad behavior with positive treatment. You know, like when you're teaching a dog to sit, that kind of thing. But both shows, they use female guests and they cherry pick them to be incapable of dominating the male hosts. I'm sure that they find out who comes on the show. It's not ones that they think are going to trounce them. Occasionally, though, they do get taken to task by these girls, and they immediately ask them to leave. You know, it's like, you can just get out of here.
I've seen a couple of videos of one woman kind of clearly
Yeah.
outsmarting them. And it does make me wonder, like, did she just play dumb through the screening process? Because
Yeah.
they clearly want women who either are not very bright or who don't mind making a fool out of themselves for exposure,
Yeah.
which I think it's probably a lot of the latter. I feel like a lot of these women are leaning into it because, like you said, they mostly are OnlyFans models, and like this is a big platform for the type of men who spend money on OnlyFans
Yeah.
as much as they like act like they hate it.
Yeah.
Like that is who's buying it. So yeah, but like I have seen a few where it's I think a couple people have snuck by them somehow.
Yeah, there was a really good one. I tried to find the clip and I couldn't find it because it's just like, girl owns dude? Question mark. Like, I don't really know what to look for. But basically, this guy talked about like women are being inferior because of like their ability to grow and mature is hindered by XYZ. It was some stupid thing that he was saying. And so she brought up like 3 examples he had talked about from his past at various intervals. We're like, okay, well, this happened. So you're not growing and you're not showing growth. And he's like, no, fuck that. Actually, like he just doesn't know what to do. He just loses his mind. I was like, that's pretty fucking funny. So, moving on to more dudes. I know that the guys we just discussed sound really cool. I know they sound like badasses, but maybe you're not a badass. Maybe you do have a strong desire to be one. And it's like, where would you go to help? Who would you turn to help mold you? Who would you turn to in this situation? Well, of course, you would return to a retired Navy SEAL like Garrett White or Bedros Keuilian and pay them as high as $18,000 to simulate a military boot camp. And have you seen these things?
No, I haven't. Wow.
Oh, you have not seen this? Okay,
so it's like they do basic training, but you don't have to go into the military.
You don't have to go to the military or actually get shot at or do any of the things that make that service noble.
I feel like this should be not run by these guys, not in the manosphere, which I guess there'd be no way it could be. But this seems like something the government could just offer.
Yeah,
like we have this problem. There's a huge problem where like a lot of Americans can't pass the physical standards to join the military because we're generally like a pretty out of shape country. So like, I don't know, just like have this be free.
Yeah. You can just.
And then if you're like really good, you can like try to recruit them into the military.
Hey,
I mean, there's no way that wouldn't be like the most. It would produce nothing but fascists. But like I'm just saying, theoretically,
it's like, hey, the Army's having tryouts. If you guys,
right? Or, I don't know. I mean, they need to have like government sponsored gyms and shit for people. Like I think that really needs to happen if they're want people to be in shape. But anyway, tell me about this private version that
I would I could not wait to jam a Bluetooth speaker at the government gym.
Absolutely. You somehow worse than Planet Fitness. Find a way.
So these programs, there's a few of them. We're going to talk about 2, but just got the general idea. Essentially, you go in and you pay these guys various things. One of them is $10,000. This guy, so this one's called Warrior Week. That's an intensive program for male. Now I give you fucking one guess as to who usually signs up for this. It's all tech CEOs. It's all finance execs, guys who like never had to do this. Like, dude, like my dad joined the Army because his family was broke. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why my mom joined the Army, and they both did it. I've famously mentioned before, like on here with I showed my dad that Eminem song where he was like, I was like 13 when he first came out. He's like, this is for all the people who have no idea what it's like to be broke as fuck. And my dad just goes, join the Army, and walked off. So yeah, well, let's say you're not broke. Let's say you're fucking loaded and you have 10 grand to shell out. So this guy, this is for Warrior Week. This is the one ran by Mr. Garrett, a retired Navy SEAL. So basically this guy, another guy named Rom ended up paying $10,000. He was bound and gagged and run for 5 days and nights in Laguna Beach, California. Drills included
is getting bound and gagged part of it?
Yeah.
It sounds like this guy just was like added a special part.
Yeah. Joke's on you. I just came. So
I don't know why that would be part of the training.
They don't do that in the Army. They don't bind and gag you, as far as I understand, unless you get caught.
I don't think so. Yeah. Weird.
But that's the thing. It's like this all falls into like ice baths and shit. It's just like the thing of like your comfort is what makes you weak. And it's like, meanwhile, like I don't know, like I guess to a certain degree, like I look back, like other times in my life where like I didn't have a car and I was making money, but I was not making money in any kind of standard ass way. And basically, I was like having to like hop on buses and drive around town and like go to a job, then get off and go run around dropping shit off. And I was doing it off the bus line. And I remember like literally using the term like you have to become a sharper version of yourself. You have to plan out everything. You wake up and you're like, okay, I gotta get to work on the bus. That means I got to be up an hour and a half earlier. If I need to go, take care of my other little side hustle, that means I need to stop by there. I need to do that. I need to be on my phone, connect with people. And it's a rough life to keep up. And I did it because I wanted to, and I wanted to not be doing it anymore. That was the main motivation. And now it's like, I guess it did produce a pretty timely, quick version of myself, but it wasn't anything that I would be like, I would trade back in the comforts I have now to like live like that again.
Yeah, like I do understand the idea at work here that like, yes, going through hardships does make you a more resilient person. It makes you a tougher person. It makes you smarter about certain things. If it doesn't completely break and traumatize you, which can also happen. But
not me. Doing fucking great.
But like, I don't think it's like, well, I've never experienced any hardship. Time to pay thousands of dollars to see what it would be like.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to fix the thing. It's too late at that point, I think.
Are you watching Severance?
I'm not caught up.
Okay, well, this is from season 1. It's Rickon, his brother-in-law, and when he reads his book, and at one point it's about living among poor people and not telling them he was poor and living off their food and generosity. It's like, bro. That cracked me up. That was so funny. So this guy, he got dumped off of a boat in the Pacific Ocean, blindfolded, dunked into a tank of ice water, and visited a cemetery where the men were told they'll all die in 20 minutes and must first write goodbye letters to their loved ones.
This is not military training. This is like a fucking like fright house at a church. But for dudes.
They were like one guy had like he was like he was like out of shape, and the guy was like talking about how he was like he wanted to be there for his family. Valid concern, what I'm saying? Do what everybody else does, sell meth and team up with your old student, like fucking obviously. But so he was like so like this whole time they're doing it, every time the guy runs out of breath, he's like, there it is. Somebody's coming to the door. They're gonna kill your family. Where are you at? You're sitting on the couch, out of breath. That's
always what it is with these guys too. Is like the one threat you will face in life is that someone is breaking down your door and coming to kill your family.
Yeah, dude.
Like that's always the one thing you need to prepare for in life is to disarm an attacker. Like how many people does that fucking happen to?
Statistical anomaly, dude. Like it's like
way more likely you're gonna kill your family and then yourself. That's what happens.
Yeah, dude. It's like, bro, I love for people who have a plan if that happens, but don't have a plan for if it doesn't happen. They're like if somebody doesn't break into my house, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll probably
okay. Well, how will you maintain your family's health insurance? Like, that's a more likely threat to your family than a fucking attacker.
But this guy gets thrown off. So this is all done under the watchful eye of Garrett White. He's a 40-year-old blonde, tattooed guy. This article says he looks like a video game soldier. He said that women are leading both across the board in business and at home, and living more powerfully than men today, and that's causing complete chaos for men. White launched Warrior Week in 2012 to offer guidance to wayward souls like he was. At 23, he was divorced, bankrupt, recovering from cancer. He pulled his life together, built $1 million real estate empire, then lost it all in the mortgage banking crisis of 2007. That's when he reinvented himself as a life and business guru. Tony Robbins meets The Rock. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he had military experience. No, he did.
You're talking about a different guy, I think. There are a couple guys you've been talking about through this.
Yeah, this guy did not. This guy just looks like he did. But he got some guys.
He probably really wants you to think he did.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Yeah, it's got. I've talked about it before. The fault, like stolen valor. It's a huge deal now that the internet exists. My dad, they had a guy in their crew, George, and my dad was just like, later on, I was like, yeah, didn't George say did that in Nom? And I was like, George never went to fucking Nom. And I was like, that was his whole personality. He goes, I know. We thought he was funny.
We enjoyed it. It's good entertainment.
Yeah, we got a kick out of it. Like, hey, George, tell us about Nom. And he'd tell us about some shit. And we were like, oh, cool, man.
I have a question for you, Pat, as a man, as a representative of your gender on this podcast. what do you make of that explanation that he's saying that like women are sort of outpacing men in all of these benchmarks, and that is causing a crisis?
I think there is a crisis among men. It's like it really is. Like I mean, I don't know. If I knew it, I could solve it. But there is a thing. Dudes, a lot of guys feel very disaffected. They feel like they don't have anything to live for. They don't have anything, like, what's their purpose? Like, I spent my entire 20s being like, I'm going to do comedy. And so I had a thing to keep me going. And I would talk to so many of my friends who didn't have that. And they'd just be like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. And there is like, I say this because the push for the push for like the future female, and we need to like focus on girls and all that stuff. I think that that's good, obviously, but I don't think the people that are pushing it and making it a part of the culture are doing it in good faith. I think it's all corporations who are doing it for very shallow reasons, and so it does kind of you see that as a kid, and you're like, oh, cool, yeah, the future's female. I can imagine if I was a kid growing up, like a young dude being like, might kind of wonder where I fit in all that. And if somebody's not there to provide a really well detailed answer, you'll start making one up. And and it's like, and it's hard. It's a hard answer for people to give. Like I remember being a kid, I grew up in a house with all women. It was my dad was there, but it also had my mom, my sister, and my grandma. And my sister was 5 years older than me, so obviously she was dominating a lot of stuff. And there was really times where like, again, this is as a child, so I guess this is child reasoning. But like I would like be like, I would go somewhere and it'd be like my mom, her friends, her daughter, my sister, my grandma, and I'd be the only boy, and they're all talking, and I'd do something like make a loud noise or jump off something, and I'd get yelled at, I would get in trouble, and I really did feel like, this is unfair, I'm a boy, it's all girls in here, and they're being mean to me, and I mean, like, some guys, I guess, don't grow out of that, and like, you can kind of be like, if you don't, what you're saying, where you're trying to live for, so I can see not having anything, like, I have friends of mine that have, they have like their wife, kids, house, and they're like, and they'll talk to me like, dude, it must be crazy with like comedy. You get to go out and do this and that. I'm like, yeah, dude. But I'll be like, look at this. You got what's going on here. And they're like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, man. They're like, I'm waking up. I go in. I love my family, but it's like, what am I doing? I'm just working. I'm just working to work. I don't know. There's a huge, not like a misunderstanding about what they're supposed to be doing. And so I do see that. It's like I obviously I make fun of a lot of these like macho dude types, but like there is like men are at a loss right now. Unless you gotta like if you're susceptible to thoughts of depression and kind of like already have an idea, like don't have an idea of where you're supposed to be at in life, like I can see that. And then like they're saying right now, like I was originally gonna do this episode about masculine politics, like how masculinity is playing out in politics. And I think I want to save that for another one. But some of the research I was doing on that one, not to like spoil what we're going to talk about, but it was like, they were talking about how if you look at most remedial classes, it's boys. If you look at most disciplinary classes or alternative schools, it's boys. The penitentiary, the prison, the juvenile prison, it's boys. Sure. And they're noticing it's like, not that these boys are stupid. It's like they don't care. There's a lack of motivation. There's not understanding why they should care. They're like the idea of them doing really good in education terms, I don't think it's pressed as hard as it is with like girls, where it's like, yo, you can get into STEM, women in STEM. And I think there is, these guys are at a loss. And I could see looking at this and going like, oh, holy shit, this is what being a man is. It's getting up, it's running, it's jogging, and like it is, but you can do that without being pissed off. Like you can just do that. You can get up and go out and hike. I don't know. That's a long way to get there, but that's what I feel.
No, I think what you're saying that makes sense to me is like men in general, speaking obviously in big generalities, have a lack of purpose. And when you lack purpose, it's really easy for someone to sell you on here's what your purpose is. Like, let me show you. No, that's interesting. There's clearly like data is showing that something is not going well for dudes. And like whether you are a feminist or a misogynist or whatever, like the one thing we all can see is that like something's going on and it's leading to bad outcomes for a lot of people. Yeah. And thank you for your insight on it. As a woman, I'm like kind of at a loss about it.
Yeah, I see that. I see it a lot in a lot of guys. I was gonna do another on the job site interview, and I was like, oh, I'll interview one of the young dudes that I work with, and I'll ask about these podcasts. And then like I thought about that at the beginning of the day, and as the day went on, I was like kind of like, I don't want to do that to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there might be my inclination to like make fun of them or have somebody laugh at them. Because like one of them, one of the kids like, oh yeah, dude, I'll fucking talk about it. I'll say some shit. And I remember being like, you know what? I don't want to do that to that kid. I don't want to set him up to like, fucking say something that like I know that like is ridiculous or weird sounding, and now I know that kid's out in the ether getting laughed at. I would have felt honestly bad about that, so I held off. So. Yeah, man, I feel sorry. I legitimately, we're going to talk some more shit about these guys, but I legitimately do kind of worry about what people are going through out there. And then, it can be dark sometimes. Like if you're like, I don't know, man, if you're a guy like, reach out. I don't know what to do about it. I'm not a fucking professional. I know something's afoot. I don't want to sit here and just say some vapid shit like, get help, man, but like, I don't know. Tap into your network. That's all I can say. And if
no, I think that's good all-purpose advice. Like, it's strengthen the connections you have to other people, and like you're never gonna feel worse, I guess, unless those people are the Fresh and Fit podcast or something.
Yeah. If you're
go talk to like real people, like go have like an authentic interface with another person, because like even if the other person is also like a warped misogynist, like there's probably another side to them that you could commiserate.
Yeah. Get out there. Connect with the world at large, man. Well, speaking of warped misogynists, so we haven't really honed in on too many super public figures, but I did want to get in on this one. So you're sitting in chairs.
Wait,
like
hold on. I have better advice.
Yes.
You're feeling bad? Call your mom.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. Call your mom.
Yeah.
Chat with your mom. Unless you and your mom have like a fucked up relationship, but like generally speaking, just give your mom a ring. Say hello.
Yep. Yeah. Like me and my mom, like we get along. We had a very tense teenage years because it went from being like my entire family. And then my sister joined the Air Force. My grandma put herself in an old folks home. She was like, I'm fucking out of here.
I'm out.
Yeah.
See you later.
And then her and my dad split up, and it went from being the whole family to just me and her. And then we moved like to literally across the tracks, like literally and metaphorically, into this neighborhood. It was just primed. I was like 13. I was like, let's fucking go. And it got real hectic for a few years. And me and my mom had a very fraught relationship. And we're good now. But we had to work to get there for sure. And there was times where it would like, even after things were good, technically, it was still just stress to talk to her,
Tense.
Yeah. Could have got tense. So speaking of people who need to talk to their mother. All right. So you're sitting in chairs like an alpha now, right? You got all the boxes checked. You're telling women that they're worthless. You paid a cadre of 40 former Marines $20,000 to call you gay for a whole weekend. You've got the lifestyle down, right?
Yeah.
So now who do you talk to really enjoy it? How do you, a real man, move forward with a style and class? You may want to seek help from none other than Donald Trump Jr., all right. And he'll tell you to read his hunting.
That's a real alpha right there.
Yeah, a real alpha. A guy coming up from the mean streets of Fifth Avenue in a gold house. No, this guy, I just thought this was kind of funny. He has a lifestyle influencer magazine called Field Ethos. And it's about hunting. And this is a guy that like the more I read about him, I kind of feel bad for him. Because I think he has this thing about Field Ethos, and it's basically just about being a dude and going out and hunting and male energy. And he even said it's not really political. He's like, I don't think anybody who's not intelligent enough to get caught up in the extreme of both sides could enjoy this. And it's kind of funny because he's basically being like, yeah, all my supporters are idiots. Right. But these are they have a little more sophisticated touch of the thing. It talks about hunting. He talked about how when he was a kid, he went to school in Pennsylvania and at a private school, and some kid, his friend's dad took him out hunting, and he was just like, oh, this is cool. So he started a lifestyle magazine. I included this in the list, and as I read it, not a lot of super funny stuff about that one, but he has a lifestyle magazine that'll teach you how to be the son of a billionaire. Have you
ever been hunting?
No, I've shot plenty of guns, but I never went hunting. I never really had the interest. My dad was a gun guy, but he didn't hunt. He liked the
guns.
Yeah, ARs and fucking handguns and shit. We would shoot, my dad had an AR-15. We would shoot that and just shooting handguns and stuff like that. But hunting never really my thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone hunting up there in New Hampshire? Was your dad a hunter?
I've never gone hunting. No one in my family hunted. I did at summer camp. We did like riflery. I've shot guns, but like my family, not a gun family. They're all like Massachusetts Democrats. They're like probably probably like the most anti-gun type of American you can be.
Yeah.
So like not a lot of guns around me, but I had lots of friends in New Hampshire who would do it. And then when I moved to Texas, like everybody had a gun. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is very different. It was not part of my culture. But.
Yeah, I was raised with guns in the house. But again, we weren't like a gun family in the sense of like, I don't know, my dad didn't have like a gun chest or anything. Matter of fact, for most of my life, for my childhood, I didn't know he had one gun. He had a handgun. We lived in El Paso. We lived in kind of a bad neighborhood. And so my dad had one a couple times. Somebody would we heard somebody in our yard. And my dad ran out there with a piece of notebook paper folded up in his hand. And later he told me there was a gun in there. And I was like, yeah, I kind of put that together.
He didn't want you to see it.
Yeah, I didn't want to see it. Then he got older and he bought he had a couple of handguns. And then he started really getting into rifles and shit. He had a few of those and shotguns. It was fun. We shot, but it wasn't I don't know, it wasn't like nearly our identity the way a lot of Texas families are.
You weren't taking your Christmas card photos holding the AR.
No, yeah, and that is, yeah.
That is I feel like a real. I mean, and it is a real stereotype. But again, speaking as someone from the New England Ivory Tower, a very anti-gun thing. Like most people who own guns are not like that. Most gun owners are responsible. It's not a huge deal to them. It's not. It is a fun toy in a way. People go out and go shooting, but that stereotype I feel only applies to a very small number of.
That is true. And I did meet those guys. They're
out there for sure.
My dad would vibe with those dudes. He had zero problem with guns. There was no but he was just he wasn't an idiot. So he just had
other things he was interested in. He just wasn't a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what he had going for him. So I wanted to take one more stop and then kind of take this thing home. So we talked a lot about men's influence in the manosphere. I did want to talk about a very strong female influence. So I feel like at this point you've got it all. You've got Donald J. Trump's Jr.'s hunting magazine. You got the men's rights podcast.
You've been molded.
You've been molded. So now it's time for your reward. You've got it all, and now it's time to get what you're owed. A conventionally attractive wife who doesn't have a job, but instead stays at home and makes you lunch every day and posts about it online. That's right. Go. Dude, you're getting a trad wife.
Yes.
So I feel like I was looking at this. Trad wives are like the carrot to the boot camp stick. I feel it's you did all the stuff. You jumped in an ice bath. You shocked your nipples. Where the hell it is these dudes do? You're drinking raw milk you haven't filtered water in a fucking decade. You know what I'm saying? So now it's you get this chick with giant bazongas and she's only wearing an apron and she's making apple pies from scratch. And so we all know what the trad wives are. I did want to stop in and just talk about probably the most famous trad wife to go mainstream, and that was the chick. Let's bring her up real quick. Get her name here. Yeah, Lily Gaddis. She was the trad wife who said the N-word.
I don't know her. The most famous one I know is Ballerina Farm. That's the big one I know.
Okay, I didn't heard about Lily Gaddis. So Lily Gaddis was a trad wife, and she was doing one of her videos, and she was talking about her husband, her friends saying that they won't. Kind of the stuff they'll put up with men. And she goes, well, yeah, that's why all my friends that are married that don't want kids or whatever, don't want to eschew some fucking conservative value. She goes, they're all dating broke ass N-words. And so she went with the A, she went rapper style on it, but she drops it.
She knew what she was doing.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing. And then so eventually she gets a bunch of blowback, and she makes a video completely doubling down on it. She's like, look, I didn't do anything wrong. I have the First Amendment. So she ends up losing her job. And then
first of all,
there you go.
Yeah. You got a job.
Why do you have a job? Then the internet starts digging into her, and then it turns out she's not even married. She's a single mom. She's not even a wife. She's just trad. There is no wife. You're just making sandwiches at this point. What are you doing?
That is it's so. There are a lot of women like this, and it's you're definitionally a non-traditional family if you're a single mother.
Yeah.
How are you so against anything that would help you.
Yeah,
Like,
because well,
everything
it's
that would
like
make your life easier.
yeah, it's one of those things where you judge yourself by your intentions and everyone else by their actions. And you're
Yeah,
like,
that's a good way to put
yeah,
it.
I intended to do this. It just didn't happen. You from the outset, you were doing this, and that's why
Right.
you even showed up, and that's shitty. So she ends up uh, getting fired from her job because
Mhm,
she works for a home health service, and her
mhm,
boss, the owner of the company, is a black woman, and she's
of
like, yeah, you
course.
can kind of just get out of here. So then she says, thanks guys for my career and like literally goes out saying like thank you for my career in right-wing media. Like I now have a career
Yeah,
in
yeah,
right-wing media
yeah.
because you
That
guys
was her.
canceled me.
That's what she was trying to do.
Yeah, that's what she was trying to do. Well then,
Also, yeah, her poor boss, like that.
yeah,
Just
yeah. This is like, yeah,
he probably already fucking hated her,
yeah,
and then
she had to be terrible.
was like, "Thank God I can finally fire this
Yeah.
woman." Like,
Oh, she was a
anyway.
new hire too. She was only like 2 weeks in, which is
Oh
crazy.
wow.
So that means at
Yeah.
one point she was like unemployed single mother.
Yeah. Talking about
So
how women need to be in the home.
yeah, it's like you need to be out the home, fucking putting in job applications,
Working,
girl.
yeah. What do you want? You be doing
Yeah,
that. You're a quote unquote welfare queen at this point. Like,
So yeah,
which
she
I'm sure
tries to make
also
the
hates.
she tries to make the switch in right wing media. Well, then like hardcore right wing Nazis start digging into her past and finding like anti-racism posts and shit like that. And they're like, "Nah, girl, you're not racist enough. Actually,
Yeah.
you're not racist enough to hang out like this." So that was just a crazy story. It's like you say all this
Yeah.
racist shit, and then turns out you were too woke like 2 years ago or whatever.
Well, there's always some version of this. I feel like you see it sometimes with like, um, there are a lot of like Proud Boys who are not white. Like
Yeah,
there's that, and then there's also like super right-wing women. And I feel like in both of those cases, anytime something like this happens, it's like those people are not going to protect you.
no,
Like you are you think that aligning with them exempts you from their like prejudices and bigotry and hatred, and it just doesn't. It just never does. Like
yeah,
you're not safer on their side. Like you're not like your trad wives, like oftentimes they will say like they'll use sort of like these vague anti-capitalist like sentiments to be like feminism just wants to exploit our labor, unlike in the
yeah,
home or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but you're like, you want to go back to a time where like marital rape is legal.
yeah.
Like you're not. I it's just this weird thing where they think they're going to be sheltered from these problems, and it's like, no, these people hate you.
Yeah.
They're going to find a reason to hate you. I feel like it happens all the time too, in like some like super far right-wing pundit is found out to be like Jewish, and it's like they just turn on him instantly because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
fucking anti-Semites. Like it never works out for you. It also is funny to me that like you said, this is sort of the prize, right? This is what
Yeah.
these men want, is they're like, women shouldn't work. But then they get it furious when you point out that they don't make enough money to
Yeah,
have
yeah. What do you put on my
like
bills?
at
Yeah,
home.
yeah. Dude,
Like you can't have it both ways, man.
yeah.
You
The idea
gotta
that
up your money if you want that.
the idea that a jobless woman in your life is a prize is fucking confounding to me. that sounds fucking terrifying, bro. Like,
that is something. It's one of those things where it's like, what's classy if you're rich and trashy if you're poor?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. A jobless woman.
Yeah,
Get
jobless
away
woman
from
in your
me.
life.
Liability.
Man, kind of back to what you were saying about like these people aren't here to help you. A woman that I know one time told another woman that we know who hung out with a lot of dudes, and she was just like, yeah, I'm really into girls. I like girls are drama. I have guy friends, and she was like, yeah, basically she was referencing something that happened, unfortunately, but she was like, how many of those dude friends were there for you when that one dude friend did some crazy shit to you? Did those dude
Yeah.
friends step up and step up to that guy, or did you immediately realize you weren't one of those guys? And
Yeah.
yeah, and it was not inaccurate what she told her. So
Yeah, I do think it's true. Like even in sort of small ways, like it's just at the end of the day, like people's loyalties are where they are, and like they're never gonna forget that you're different than them if they're bigoted in that way. It's just
Yeah.
they're never gonna get over it.
always gonna be at the forefront of your mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was at a bar in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin one time, and It was country as hell in there, which is always wild. Midwest country is wild to me because like I know what voice should be coming out of a 300-pound man wearing all camouflage, and it shouldn't be like so the other day I was dead. It's like that shouldn't be that voice in my southern ears. But I'm in there. It's like all white people at the bar. There's 3 younger black dudes, maybe in like their 20s, sitting next to me. They're all talking, they're having a good time. I'm just on my phone. I don't know anybody at the bar. This big ass like galoot walks up and he's wearing all camo.
Over.
And he comes over and he like buys a drink. You can tell he's been drinking. Turns to the guys like, "You guys have fun? How y'all doing?" Like, "Hey, we're doing good, man." He's like, "Cool." And he's like, you can see him like sitting on it for a second. He goes, "Man, it's just, it's like, why can't we all just come together, man, and hang out, just drink a beer and have a good time?" Like, I see what he was going for, but I was like, bro, you literally just ruined that feeling for them. They were just hanging out,
they
having
were
a good,
just hanging out. Yeah.
Everything was good, and it was like, and you had to be like, you know how y'all are different, right? Like it had to come up, So yeah. Shout out to everyone involved in that. I felt sorry for the guy too. I was like, because he definitely thought his heart was in the right place for sure.
Totally.
But so I want to end this with this. It's like, so we talked about this kind of like, it's almost like an apparatus, right? This it's like a car wash of just shitty male ideas that just kind of smack you as you go through it. So,
you go through it and you go in, a beta, and then you go through and it smacks you around. And obviously you come out an incredibly well-adjusted, charismatic, smart, intelligent, attractive man. That's how all these people turn out after listening to all this shit.
Thanks so much for the layup on this, because I was going to say, what comes out the other side? The Doge Boys. That's what you get. When you compound all this shit together, you get Akash Boba, Edward Big Balls Korstein, Luke Farrader, Gautier Cole Killian, Gavin Kilger, and Ethan Shoutrin. That's who you get. You get, those are all of Musk's little choir boys that are taking over the government right now. And you look at these dudes, you look at their tweets, just right now, the fucking guy, I got this right here, let's bring it up. Yeah, they're finding all these old websites, all these old tweets they used to have. This dude had one, Edward Korstein. This is Big Balls. This is the 19-year-old member. So he's just been baked in this shit since since 2004. This guy's been online, like online as a person, just baked in all this bullshit we just discussed. Literally the rise of it when he came into himself as a person. All of these apparatuses were already in full effect. And of course, they started looking back, and he had an image sharing website in 2021 that featured custom shit posting web addresses that redirected to content hosted on his site. URLs that redirected Korstein's site referenced the sale of child sex abuse material, racial slurs, rape. I don't even want to say these fucking words. Among the links were like kkiscool.com and just all these stuffs that was like probably like, do I think the guy's selling children? No, I don't. Do I think
he's just an edgelord troll?
An edgelord fuck troll.
Yeah.
And that's not that much better. That, you know what I'm saying?
No.
The guy.
Not at all. And I feel like it's clear from the trajectory of the last few years that like you can irony yourself into sincerity. You start with all this shock stuff where you're just trying to get a rise out of people until it replaces your entire genuine personality, and you have no genuine personality anymore, and you only exist to provoke. And you're fueled entirely by spite, and it's like there is no functional difference. I talking about the 19-year-olds though, like I do really feel, because like I'm very knee-jerk against like anti-man stuff, like obviously, like, I'll roll my eyes at some masculinity bullshit, but like when people make like unilateral gender essentialist pronouncements about like how men are, or how men are bad or mistreat people or whatever, I'm very like, I really push back against that, because I think it doesn't lead anywhere good or anywhere helpful. But I do, people like women younger than me that have to put up with so many of these guys, like I get why they get like that. Like I get why they get so reactionary about men, because like these are the dudes in their classes. Like these are the, and it's so much more common. I feel like men of our generation, like, well, obviously not perfect, are like not as likely to just be molded by this stuff because they missed it a little bit. They already
Yeah.
had personalities when this stuff was taking over. But yeah, these young dudes, man, we got to figure out how to, we
Yeah.
got to break all their phones.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you shouldn't get a phone until you're like 25. I
Yeah.
think that's what it needs to be. I don't know, man.
Well, because like
I feel for them.
I think what might have happened, and I was thinking about trying to how to put this into words, is that these guys have spent their entire lives hearing older dudes say that their whole generation is soft. Yeah, all these kids these days are soft. They're all pussies. They're all like, you know, they can't handle you. Like, there's that one meme that like every person in the world has redone where it's like, where the person's walking to the door and bumping their shoulder, and it's like somebody born in the 80s, boom. Oh, another guy, somebody born in the 90s, you know, oh, what the fuck? And it's like the 2000s kid bumps his shoulder, just collapses crying. Like, I see a different version of that all the time. And it's like, these guys have spent their whole life being told that. So it's like, especially I see this on the job site where it's like, you know, it's a very masculine atmosphere. And like, or at least like these kids perceive it to be. And so they're like, oh, I've been told my entire life by guys his age and older that like my whole generation is soft.
We're pussies.
So I need to be almost like a caricature of what a man was like 3 generations back. And even then it's like, buddy, that probably wasn't even really the case. You know what I'm saying? Like that was what survived through pop culture and through retellings. And it's like,
and also like, where did that get anybody?
Where did that get anybody?
Get us as a culture? Like,
well, I saw a wonderful thing that was talking about why nerds used to not be cool and why they're cool now. And they were like, because essentially the opposite of a nerd is somebody that has all the skills necessary to survive in the world they're in. They're not lacking in any way. And back in the 1960s and 70s, probably even 50s or whatever, to be a successful man, you need to be big, you need to be brash, you need to not give a shit. You're drinking 3 fingers of whiskey on your lunch break. But at the end of the day, you had to be very sociable. You had to know how to, hey, come in, hey, how you doing? Shake your hand.
Totally, yeah.
And the guys who didn't have that did not succeed at business. They did not succeed in the world. They were considered to be nerds. And now it's like all those personality traits are valued. And so they like, now it's like, oh, nerds are cool because they have what it takes to survive in the new world. Whereas the traits
where social interaction is less important, where physical strength is less important or less like sort of respected than knowing a programming language or something.
And so like there's just this, like to tie it back into that, it's like there's just these kids are growing up in this world where they're just like, I don't know, like they're being told that they're soft, they're being told this is what's, and then you have like, you know, the Democratic Party really did nothing to reach out to young men, to the point where like you talk to any guy who's maybe not like a super articulate, not saying stupid by any means, but not a very articulate person, and you just had to be like, why wouldn't you vote Democrat? It's gonna come out something along the lines of they're gay, they're sissies, they're not soft, and it's like the Democratic Party did themselves no favors. There's so many cool leftist fucking ideologies out there that are badass, that are just like, oh, I like, you know, but like they're any progressive part of the culture or the party they pushed off to the side. Anything of like, oh, I'm like aggressively anti-capitalist. I think that's cool as shit. You know, like, and that's a cool archetype or whatever. But like these kids are given like, it's like anything left of center is soft. And so if you want to be a hard, stern dude that people take seriously, you need to buy into these very toxic behaviors. And there's nobody out there presenting an alternative for what they can do or model themselves after. Like, if that makes any sense.
I think it does. Like there's also this like weird, I mean, I'm sure you've thought about this, like with your job site and everything, like there is a very class element to masculinity where like there's sort of like working class is coded as masculine, which of course is like a problem because there's healthcare workers, like teachers, all these people that are working class that are not typically in masculine jobs. But if the Democratic Party like gave a shit about labor at all, they could use that stereotype to their advantage to capture men, right?
Like
unions, like that's a very sort of like masculine coded thing.
Yep.
And instead they have like really not, because they're not a pro-labor party. They're not antagonistic to capitalism and anything. So all they have is like the culture stuff, and the culture stuff is not super welcoming to men. Particularly, I mean, some Democrat, I think it was a congresswoman, was just doing a news hit where she was talking about like mediocre white men or something. And it's like, I get it, but you got to stop saying those words. You can't be saying that on the news. Like that is not how to characterize like the dog shit. It's not to say mediocre white men. It's to say like fascist takeover of the government.
Yeah.
It's
Because not only are you vilifying people who, saying who I'm a white guy and a mediocre. This guy out there, you're vilifying that guy.
What do you want?
What do you want? I'm a mediocre white guy.
not?
I'm just playing fucking World of Warcraft. Leave me alone, goddammit. Yeah, like
I still should get health care.
What the
fuck, man?
You're vilifying that guy, and you're also softening these truly bad guys who aren't just mediocre white men. They're right. Fascist, well-funded, tools of the elite, and it's like that's not mediocre by any means. And
and again, like this is a man problem. I think it needs to be solved by men. I don't think that anything women are doing is going to like fix this, but I do think that like that like messaging is just pushes people like in this way that you don't need to provoke them that way. And I think the reason that like Democrats can't do it is because they can't be honest about the real reasons that men and everyone feel disenfranchised, which is the massive transfer of wealth to the 1%. Like they can't. So sorry to grandstand.
No, I 100% think that that's what it all ties back to. It's like everybody's doing fucking bad right now. And it's like, and if you wanted to look at like if you wanted to like look at the real cause, it's the fact that the system is bad for us. It's not good for us. So we're not going to do good. Oh.
I think like there is like an analogy here with like, it's not perfect. It's not exactly the same, but like why men are so angry with women. It's like it's the same reason why like so many white people are racist. It's like they're doing bad and you're not really allowed to directly blame the people that are causing you to do bad.
Yeah.
So you find someone else to blame. And there's a very profitable group of people to blame. You can make a lot of money blaming women. You can make a lot of money blaming people of color. And so that's what all of these people we've been talking about will do. And they're all rich. Everyone we're talking about is fucking rich.
Yeah. And one thing that you told me that this stuck with me for a very long time, you pointed out, and I think about this all the time, and I try to tell as many people as I can about it because it resonates. You pointed out, you were like, men's rights podcasters, you were like, that is podcasting or being an online person is the least manly job. Like there's nothing manly about that.
Real soft.
In and of itself is soft as hell. So it's like I've literally repeated that to like when I tried to like, I don't know, proselytize some dude or whatever. I'm like, those guys that are saying they're masculine make internet shows for a living. It's like that's not like
they sit in front of a ring light. There's nothing masculine about sitting in front of a ring light. It reminds me a little of one of my favorite tweets of all time, which is by Manning Krull at Manning Krull. It was about how he was listening to Slayer with his friends, and one of his friends was like, "Dude, they're not scary. Like they're trying to be so scary, but they're not scary. You know what? You know why they're not scary? They're singing a song."
Yeah.
It's the same shit. It's just like you can't. The performing is just not.
It's soft. It is.
You're a theater kid. We're all theater kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's man, dude. Yeah, just lean into it. Fucking embrace it if that's you, man. But like, there you go. Worth it. I don't even think I don't necessarily know that it applies, but no, don't do any of this stuff. It's not worth it. What is worth it is, I think a good definition of a man I've heard is like you create something, you create things, and you provide, and you make more than you need so other people can have it. And tap into that, man. If you want to do something like, that's worth it. Tap into your own potential and just help the people around you and lock into your network and call your mom. And guys. So that's
for you.
That is it. That's episode 2 or part 2 of the series, the Masculinity Industrial Complex. We'll be moving forward to that. I got a few more ideas. Let us know how you feel about it. Let us know if you like it. We got a lot of responses off of the truck episode.
Yeah, people love that one.
Yeah, it was really cool. So guys, reach out to us. Let us know what's up. That being said, I just shortened myself by hitting my thing. Hold on 1 second. All right, back up the snuff. Folks, if you like what you heard, you can check us out on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast. Also, when you're there, go ahead and follow us. If you're watching this, you made it this far, throw a like on there. If you like what you hear, you can join our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. And there you will get ad-free episodes. You will also get 2 more episodes every month. And you also get access to our Discord server, which is a very fun place to be. Also, I am going to be doing some shows in the Dakotas tomorrow. So, or not tomorrow, but next month. So go ahead and check that out. And, but yeah, look at my Instagram. It's at PZTX, and I'll have all the dates posted. Kath, you got anything for us?
Listen to my other podcast, What a Time to Be Alive. It comes out every Monday. It's about silly news stories. I'm at Kath Barbadoro on Blue Sky and Instagram. And I think that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, guys, thank you for listening. I hope things are going well out there. Be safe, be smart, but above all, don't get caught.
Don't get caught. See you next time.